SCL are a market leader within education through sport, and we're currently working with 70 professional sports clubs across England. Our work-based learning provision is constantly growing, developing new standards within the industry, making sure that we are at the forefront of sport, education and early years with underpinning business services. As a non-levy organisation, you're technically classed as a small to medium enterprise. Small to medium enterprises, we understand that every day is difficult and hands-on. By having an additional member of staff to support you via recruiting an apprentice will enable you to focus on the stuff that really matters, not the day-to-day operational stuff. If you're upskilling existing members of staff, hopefully this will mean that you have loyal and rewarded staff that won't want to leave, which will in turn reduce recruitment costs. SCL are a market leader within apprenticeships, and we are very experienced with working with non-levy payers as well as levy paying organisations. As a non-levy paying organisation, you can maximise from amazing training and development of new and existing staff for 10% of that framework cost. As a non-levy paying organisation, you would pay a 10% co-investment fee for any training that was to take place via an apprenticeship. However, if you are partnered with a club that does pay the levy, 25% of that levy amount can be transferred to you as an organisation. Prime example of this is if you are a football club, for example, the club itself will have a levy but the community trust as a separate entity wouldn't. 25% of the club's levy can be transferred across to the community trust to upskill existing members of staff. We can support you with all funding rules and control around how this can be transferred via the digital account service. If you aren't in a fortunate position to have access to an organisation's levy, as I mentioned before, 10% co-investment will still give you the benefit of fantastic training and upskilling of existing and new members of staff. L&D budgets these days are very high, making sure that we're upskilling staff with the relevant knowledge, skills and behaviours. So to reduce that cost by only paying 10% as a non-levy payer gives you a fantastic opportunity to develop staff. I would strongly recommend speaking to SCL, see if we can support you with any skills gaps or shortages and how we can upskill members of staff to make sure that you are being the most efficient you can be. What we would need to do is we would arrange a total negotiated price of the amount that would need to be paid as 10%. We would then send an invoice out within 30 days of that amount that you would pay directly to SCL as a funding provider. Everything else would then be claimed via us directly, so no mess, no pain points for you to manage. We take control of that on a monthly basis. The benefits also off the back of that is if you have any 16 to 18-year-old learner that you've recruited onto an apprenticeship, there is a government incentive. £500 after 90 days and £500 at the end of the programme that will be paid directly to you. SCL will manage all of that process for you as well. If you are a community-based organisation who have access to a levy via a partner organisation, SCL will support you with how that money is transferred. It is done via the digital apprenticeship service, and we just need authorisation from the levy paying organisation to say that they're happy to transfer funds across to you as a community trust. Again, we will discuss this in our face-to-face meeting, whether we're going to be discussing levy or non-levy. You can have a variety of apprentices within as a non-levy organisation. You can have three main areas that we focus in, which is your sport, education, early years, but we also offer business services. So whether that be coaches or community activators, your teacher level 5s through to your early years specialists, but we can also support in business admin, customer service and management. There is no limit to the amount of apprentices you can have, whether that be new or existing members of staff. Ideally, you'd want any new member of staff to have mentors, i.e. a line manager that they can report into and bounce off. With regards to existing members of staff, it is also valuable for them to be able to lean on their peers for support. Ultimately, what we say is there's an unlimited amount of apprentices, but at the same time we need to make sure that the apprentices have the relevant support within the organisation. Non-levy paying sports clubs still have the opportunity to upskill existing members of staff and new members of staff. As I mentioned, if you have access to your partner organisation's levy, you can utilise 25% of the levy bill to upskill these people. SCL are experienced in working with you as a partner to find skills gaps and shortages to make sure that your company is more efficient, and apprenticeships are a great way to do this. Next steps would be to contact SCL directly. You can speak to somebody in the work-based learning team who will arrange a meeting with yourself to discuss the opportunity of partnerships moving forward. We would then give you the opportunity to do something called a needs analysis, where we would explore skills gaps and shortages within the business and make sure that we are maximising the opportunity of the apprenticeship levy / non-levy.